Seattle moves 300,000 vehicles a day across a single bridge, runs buses through some of the most congested corridors in America, and operates the largest ferry system in the country. But here's the problem. The infrastructure holding it together is outdated, overloaded, and showing cracks. Now Seattle is upgrading all of it at once. 3 major projects, billions in investment, and deadlines that can't slip. Will they finish on time, or will the Pacific Northwest's tech capital grind to a halt mid-construction? Before we start, if you're into megaprojects, infrastructure transformations, and the race to build the future, hit subscribe. We break down the boldest construction projects from Seattle to Singapore, and you won't want to miss what's coming next. Seattle has always been a city shaped by constraints. Hemmed in by Puget Sound, Lake Washington, and the Cascade Range, it's a place where geography forces creativity and delay in equal measure. But now, Seattle isn't just managing growth. It's preparing for what comes next. Aging bridges, overcrowded transit corridors, and a ferry system running on 20th century technology. The city is betting that targeted upgrades today prevent catastrophic failure tomorrow. So what's actually under construction, and what does it mean for the future of the region? Let's break it down. Project 1. The I-5 Ship Canal Bridge Preservation. For decades, the Ship Canal Bridge has been one of Seattle's most critical pressure points. It carries Interstate 5 over the Lake Washington Ship Canal, funneling north-south traffic through a corridor that sees over 170,000 vehicles per day. But here's the problem. The bridge is old, deteriorating, and every crack in the concrete translates to lane closures, delays, and regional gridlock. To fix it, the Washington State Department of Transportation is executing a $100 million plus preservation project that includes repaving the upper deck, replacing expansion joints, repairing concrete, upgrading drainage systems, and reinforcing structural elements. This isn't cosmetic. It's megaproject engineering hiding in plain sight. The work is driverless era prep. Modern expansion joints absorb movement from seismic activity and temperature shifts. New drainage prevents water infiltration that accelerates concrete decay. Repaving adds years of operational life to a bridge that simply cannot fail. And yes, the 2027 completion deadline is driving every milestone. Because if this bridge goes down unexpectedly, Seattle doesn't have a backup. I-5 is the primary north-south artery for the entire Pacific Northwest. There is no detour that doesn't paralyze the region. The transformation is already visible if you've driven through recently. Lane reductions, night work, and phases of deck replacement have been underway since 2020. Crews are working in coordinated windows to minimize disruption, but the scale of the work means traffic will be impacted until the project wraps. Critics argue the project is reactive rather than visionary. Preserving a 60-year-old bridge buys time, but it doesn't solve the underlying issue. I-5 itself is overcapacity. Supporters counter that this is triage. You fix what's breaking now while planning for what comes next. For commuters, it means one of the region's most vulnerable choke points gets reinforced for another generation of use. For Seattle, it means avoiding the kind of catastrophic infrastructure failure that would make national headlines for all the wrong reasons. Project 2. RapidRide J line. But while the Washington State Department of Transportation stabilizes the bridge carrying cars, Seattle is upgrading how people move without them. That's the question every growing city eventually faces. How do you reduce car dependence in a place designed around it? The answer: Seattle is betting on runs straight through some of its densest neighborhoods. The RapidRide J line is transforming the Route 70 corridor into a high-frequency, bus rapid transit connection between downtown, South Lake Union, East Lake, and the University District. This isn't just a bus with a new paint job. It's a $100 million infrastructure overhaul that includes dedicated transit lanes, signal priority, level boarding stations, complete street repaving, protected bike lanes, widened sidewalks, and coordinated utility work beneath the roadway. The route stretches through neighborhoods that have exploded in density over the last decade. South Lake Union alone went from industrial wasteland to tech epicenter, adding tens of thousands of jobs. The U District is anchored by the University of Washington and new light rail stations. East Lake connects them, and the current bus service is maxed out. RapidRide changes the math. Buses every 10 minutes or better. Boarding that's faster and accessible. Lanes that don't get stuck behind delivery trucks and rideshares. For a commuter traveling from Roosevelt Station to downtown, this cuts unpredictability out of the equation. Construction kicked off in 2024 and is progressing in phases. Eastlake Avenue has seen lane reconfigurations and utility trenching. Fairview Avenue is getting rebuilt from the ground up. The work is messy, loud, and disruptive. But that's what comprehensive street transformation looks like. And if you're enjoying this breakdown of Seattle's infrastructure push, hit subscribe. We've got deep dives on megaprojects from Vancouver to San Diego coming up next. The challenge is coordination. You can't just drop new bus stations and call it done. You need signal timing adjusted citywide, utility lines relocated, pavement reconstructed to handle heavier bus loads, bike infrastructure that actually protects cyclists, sidewalks that accommodate wheelchairs and strollers without forcing people into the street. Opponents worry about the loss of car lanes and on-street parking. Small businesses along the corridor have voiced concerns about access during construction and after. Supporters argue that Seattle's growth trajectory makes car-first design unsustainable. The question isn't whether to prioritize transit. It's whether the city waited too long. When service launches in 2027, the J line will move approximately 11,000 daily riders through a completely rebuilt corridor. That's 11,000 fewer people sitting in traffic, circling for parking, or idling at stoplights. For a city trying to meet climate goals and reduce emissions, it's infrastructure that pays dividends for decades. Project 3. Ferry System Electrification, Seattle Terminal. From urban transit, the transformation shifts to something uniquely Pacific Northwest: ferries. Seattle's ferry system isn't just transportation. It's the connective tissue between the city and island communities across Puget Sound. And it's running on technology that predates smartphones. Washington State Ferries is the largest ferry system in the United States, moving over 24 million passengers annually. But here's the thing: the fleet is aging, the fuel is diesel, and the terminals were designed when hybrid and electric propulsion were science fiction. To future-proof the system, Washington State is executing a terminal electrification project at Seattle's Coleman Dock and other key terminals. The $150 million initiative includes shoreside electrical infrastructure, charging systems for hybrid electric ferries, upgraded power distribution, and terminal modifications to support zero-emission operations. Construction is anticipated to begin in 2026 and wrap by 2029. This isn't just about plugging in boats. It's about redesigning how the entire system delivers power, manages load, and integrates with the regional electrical grid. The vision is straightforward: replace diesel-burning ferries with hybrid electric vessels that charge at terminal docks. Reduce emissions, cut fuel costs, lower the noise and pollution footprint of one of the busiest maritime transit systems in North America. But the stakes are real. Electrification only works if the infrastructure is reliable. If a ferry can't charge because the terminal system fails, the entire schedule collapses. Island communities lose their lifeline. Commuters get stranded. Tourism takes a hit. And yes, the project is complex. Electrical engineering at marine terminals means saltwater corrosion, tidal variation, seismic resilience, and integration with vessels that are still being designed. Early phases focus on Seattle's terminal because it's the busiest and serves as the system's hub. The transformation is already in the planning stages. As of late 2025, design work is advancing and construction timelines are being locked in. Federal grants and state funding are committed. The first hybrid electric ferries are under construction at shipyards and will need somewhere to plug in when they arrive. Critics point to cost overruns and timeline slippage on previous ferry projects. Washington State Ferries has a complicated history with on-time, on-budget delivery. Supporters argue that electrification is inevitable. The question is whether Washington leads or follows. For passengers, it means quieter, cleaner rides with lower operational costs that could stabilize fares. For the region, it's a test of whether maritime infrastructure can decarbonize at scale. For Seattle, it's one more piece of a larger puzzle, building the systems that support a city of the future, not the past. Seattle has always been ambitious and constrained in equal measure. Bridges that can't fail, transit corridors that need to move more people with less space, ferry systems that connect communities across water but run on outdated technology. But now the city is entering a new phase: resilience, reinforcing the infrastructure that holds the region together. upgrading mobility so growth doesn't strangle itself, electrifying systems that once seemed impossible to change. These aren't visions. They're funded, they're under construction, and they're on deadline. What comes next depends on execution. Because this isn't just about 2027 or 2029. It's about 2040, and whether Seattle can build the systems it needs before the old ones break. Will the Ship Canal Bridge hold for another generation? Will the RapidRide J line prove transit can compete with cars? Will ferry electrification work at scale, or will it become a cautionary tale of ambition without follow-through? What kind of Seattle do you see emerging on the other side? Drop your take in the comments. And if stories like this interest you, subscribe. We cover the world's boldest infrastructure projects and the race to complete them.